Joining us now is Bruce Klingner, Senior Research Fellow for Northeast Asia at the Heritage Foundation. And Bruce, U.S. troops are not on the table, but a sentence later, everything is on the table. How do you make sense of that?
Well, there had been concerns that he might be willing to reduce U.S. forces in South Korea as part of a deal with North Korea, but it does seem that the president has taken that off the table. Also, the U.S. Special Envoy Steve Biegun has also said that's not under consideration. So that's all good news.
There have been several reports that even Secretary of State Mike Pompeo is worried that President Trump is going to somehow go rogue in order to produce something that the president can call a success. What do you make of that?
Well, certainly the Singapore summit was not a success. The president made three major mistakes in Singapore. One was agreeing to yet another vague, poorly crafted agreement, which did not have any steps towards denuclearization. In fact, it was weaker than a September 2005 statement with North Korea. Also, he unilaterally canceled military exercises without getting any reciprocal gesture from North Korea. And since then, the allies have canceled at least 9 military exercises and put constraints on others. That cancellation was done without consulting our allies or even the Defense Department. And also, we've had what I'd call the glorification of Kim Jong-un. Someone who's on the U.S. sanctions list for human rights violations is being described as honorable and courageous, and they're in love with each other.
Well, one of the reasons the president has described him as courageous is because the United States has gotten remains back from North Korea, and North Korea has at least seems to have suspended any more missile tests or nuclear devices being set off. Is that progress?
No, they're all good to have, but all of those claimed successes were done in previous administrations in greater numbers or to a greater expense with less hype. There were numerous instances in the past of 3 or more years without nuclear missile tests. In the past, before this administration, the U.S. had gotten back 629 remains of our fallen warriors cumulatively during previous administrations. So, they're all good to have, but they certainly don't represent denuclearization.
There may not be a denuclearization even with this summit, or President Trump was talking about yet another meeting that may come. But again, for the president and Kim Jong-un to actually physically meet, does that outweigh perhaps the raising of Kim Jong-un's stature that you were speaking of a moment ago? I mean, I get that Kim Jong-un's stature is very important culturally and politically for him, but the benefit of the United States having a U.S. president actually meeting him face to face, does that outweigh that consideration?
Well, having a meeting, whether it's at the summit level or diplomats, it's a tool towards an objective. It's not an objective in itself. So since the Singapore summit, we've had no denuclearization by North Korea. In fact, they continue to nuclearize, and satellite imagery and leaked intelligence reports indicate that North Korea is continuing to expand and refine its production facilities for missiles, mobile missile launchers, fissile material, and reentry vehicles. So we're certainly hoping the Hanoi summit will actually take some tangible steps to get North Korea to actually begin denuclearizing.
And if North Korea does not provide those tangible steps, what, in your estimation, should the Trump administration do next?
Well, we can have some diplomacy for some time, but we do need to begin thinking of having maximum pressure 2.0. The U.S. continues to pull its punches on enforcing its own laws. As the president said last June, he doesn't even like to use the term maximum pressure anymore because we're talking so nicely to North Korea. And in last June, he said there were 300 North Korean entities that we were not sanctioning. That was at the time equivalent to the total number of North Korean entities cumulatively sanctioned in 9.5 years of the Obama and the Trump administration. So there's a lot more we could be doing on the pressure side, particularly if the diplomacy doesn't work out.
Bruce Klingner of the Heritage Foundation. And Bruce, good to have you on I-24 News. Thank you. We appreciate it.
Thank you.